our unofficial start. We do have some announcements that will be kicking off the show. But I just want to welcome you all here. I'm Jessica, the founder of LA Poet Society. I'm a poet. My pronouns are she, they. And what you've been looking at is artwork from the Queer Uprising edition of our literary journal called Acid Verse. So I hope you've been enjoying the wonderful artwork. And we'll be kicking it off. Ivan from Beyond Baroque will formally introduce and launch us into our show. But happy Pride. I'm just really excited to be here. This is a groundbreaking event for us. Our first Queer Writers Festival from the Los Angeles Poet Society. So y'all making history tonight. Thank you, thank you. All right, and Ivan is here, so next you'll be hearing.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good evening. We have a packed house. Thank you all for being here. My name is Iván Salinas, and I'm programs coordinator here at Beyond Baroque. Before we get started with tonight's event, I'll definitely like to say just a few words about our space. We are a nonprofit literary arts center established here in Venice Beach, California in 1968. And we are a literary arts center dedicated to the artistic possibilities of language by cultivating new writing, presenting contemporary literature and art, and building a diverse community of poets, writers, and artists. I invite you all to join our mailing list to keep updated on our latest events and what we have coming up for the summer and fall. And follow us on social media at BBLit Arts to stay updated with also opportunities that we share for writers and just lovers of literature. And if you're interested in becoming a member, you can just sign up in the bookstore. That definitely helps us to keep programming free and accessible to the community. For the event tonight, we're proud that Beyond Baroque is hosting the inaugural Queer Writers Festival by the LA Poet Society. And we want to thank you all for being here. There are so many choices out there, and y'all chose to be here. And tonight, yeah. Tonight, we celebrate the legacy and creativity of artists in the LGBTQ plus community with a very exciting lineup of poets, authors, and drag performers. Please join me in welcoming our host for the night. Jessica just said a few words, and Jessica and I actually go back to about 4 years ago, 2019. She actually gave me the first chance to share my poetry in an open mic at the HHS in 2019. So that's been an amazing opportunity, has shown me the value of community in the literary world, and really admire your dedication to the community at large as a curator, social justice leader, and organizer, and an educator. And of course, shout out to Juan Cardenas, husband of Jessica. Hopefully he's watching the live stream, which we are also live streaming the event. And through this connection with the LA Poet Society, I've had the joy of meeting so many talented poets, like Rosie Alonso, who's going to be one of our co-hosts and poets of the night. So Jessica, please, we usually do a land acknowledgement, but tonight, Edwana has the honor of leading us into a land acknowledgement ceremony. So please, let's give it up for Jessica Wilson. And let's kick off tonight's festival. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Ivan. Let's give it up for Beyond Baroque. Woo-hoo! We've been blessed to have a partnership with Beyond Baroque since 2017. They've been our fiscal sponsor, and we're just really happy that we have this great partnership. And I do want to start with the land acknowledgement. So I also want to say if y'all could put your phones on, let's be a little quiet. That would be great, or vibrate if you need, you need to know what's happening. It's okay. But I just so you could silence the phones, that'd be awesome. I just want to take a moment. I want to acknowledge our Indigenous brothers and sisters, our Indigenous family who occupy these lands still and who have been the caretakers of this land, especially the Tongva, the Chumash, the Tataviam, the Fernandeño, and all of our brothers and sisters. And I want to give blessings to all of our ancestors and all that beautiful energy that comes into us and makes us who we are, from the north to the south, from the east to the west, and the energy and spirit from above and below, from the beautiful Mother Earth. Say Omateo. Omateo is balance. And balance is that beautiful energy that runs through every living creature and every being. And that makes us who we are. Omateo. Okay. So I want to begin our program with a video from Promsudan Oak. And just to acknowledge who they are, they are from Cambodia, and they're the first gay dance company. This is a recording of Natya Rasa. And Natya Rasa we felt was appropriate to begin after a land acknowledgement because it is a blessing. Promsun Olden Oak is a bridge building artist, teacher, and writer committed to the positive transformation of our world. His interdisciplinary performances contemplate the avant-garde in antiquity and have been presented in Cambodia, Thailand, Mexico, Greece, and the United States. His 2013 book, Moni Mekhala and Rem Eso, was reviewed in the Asian Theater Journal as a Sampea crew ritual of a sort, an offering to teachers living and deceased, and to Moni Mekhala, the goddess of the ocean herself. Additionally, he has brought together a compelling group of artists, activists, and scholars for Children of Refugees, a program of talks and performances which raise money and awareness for the Syrian refugee crisis. Oak is the recipient of grants and fellowships from TED, MAP Fund, and Surna Foundation, and has been a guest speaker and choreographer at the California Institute of the Arts, UCLA, Santa Monica College, Rajabhat University, among others. They participated in strategizing roundtables and advisory committees for the National Endowment of the Arts and Arts for LA and LA County Arts Commission. And we are really honored to have a contribution from Prumsadon. And if we could play the video. Thank you. Beautiful. Again, it's Pumsalone Oak. Thank you again for everyone being here. Y'all look so gorgeous. Woohoo! All right, so we're gonna move into our next celebration of Queer Uprising. So I apologize. I'm sorry, I'm trying to fix my dress here. Apologize that we're kind of behind a little, but nevertheless, I'm so happy to see everyone here, and we'll just continue moving on with the show. But this next segment is called our Queer Uprising Hour, the Power Hour. And we are going to be celebrating Queer Uprising, the first edition of Acid Verse Literary Journal. And we have representing Queer Uprising, we have Elvia Rubalcaba, Alex Petunia, Daisy Magallanes, Bryn Wickard, Margot Parent, and Rosie Alonso. And before I bring up, yes, this is our beautiful cover of our Acid Verse. Honestly, I think our literary journal, we have some really sexy book covers. I love it. The orange and the red, vibrant, bright colors. Yes, absolutely. And before I bring up Rosie Alonso, I wanted to acknowledge, again, this is a free event, and welcome for all for being here, but I'm going to pass around our little love popcorn bucket, I guess. So if you want to, I'm just going to pass it around, but if you can contribute anything to our show, that would be wonderful. And it would go towards our artists, our kings coming on later this evening, and also just help with sustaining our programming. So I'm going to pass this around. And I'm going to bring up Rosie Alonso. Rosie is our wonderful co-host tonight, and also Kelsey Bryan-Zwick is our co-host tonight. And Rosie is the founder of the Aciverse. So I just wanted to bring her up and have a moment to say some words about this issue before we bring up our readers. Rosie Alonso, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Hello. Can I just get a collective woo? Yeah, all right, there you go. It's Pride Month. We need that energy over here. So I just want to say happy Pride Month, everyone, and happy Cancer season. Are there any Cancers in the house? Yeah, all right. I just wanted to hype y'all up because it's your month, you know? Of course. I have a Cancer moon, so I don't know. I just exposed myself, sorry. But yeah, so I'm really excited for today, and I just wanted to talk about Acid Verse before we begin our featured poets. And Acid Verse was born in 2020. It was actually born during the pandemic. I was hanging out with Jessica. Jessica and I go way back. I think I met her in like 2014 or something like that. I read with her and Venice Beach. And yeah, she gave me the opportunity to be an editor. I've always wanted to be an editor for my own journal. So I really am grateful for her believing in my talents. And I'm really proud to showcase all these beautiful poems and photography and art. And a lot of the poets are here tonight. So I'm really, really honored that y'all are here. And Queer Uprising began, I think Jessica and I were talking during Pride Month or LGBTQ History Month. And we just thought it would be cool to do like a whole collection of like queer poets and artists, totally all like local, some even like international from, I think we had like some from like England, and it was so cool. So, and I just wanted to have like the community, the queer community, to be represented, especially in like a very capitalist society that, you know, doesn't really value us. So yeah, so I just really wanted to have that, that space for us. And yeah, and I just wanted to shout out my little brother because he's actually the photographer for this. So yeah, Chris, I love you. So yeah, so I want to begin the show now. I'm really excited. It's our first reader. Oh yeah, that's me, guys. Sorry, I'm a little shy. Yeah, that's me. Who's that? Oh, okay. So we're gonna do they have a bio? So we're gonna start with Elvia or Elvia. Hi, Elvia. Oh, hi, Elvia. So nice to see you. Oh my God. This is Edra Rubicalva, everyone. I was actually in their Zoom class for poetry, and they're like an awesome maestra. So proud that you're here. Thank you so much for being here. So, Elvia Rubicalva, everyone. Woo!
Hi. Happy Pride Month, and thank you so much for this wonderful organization and all that you do to support us. I just have one short and sweet poem. Is this better? Okay. All right. SNS. Stephanie tickled her there with the aqua blue, perfectly polished Victoria's Secret lotion scented fingertips. Stephanie explained in heavenly delicacy, every hair raised, every slide and slight scratch a fingernail, every hand positioning and repositioning closer to her centro. Susie had always been too afraid to name, look at, and consider the brown puffy triangle between her legs. Susie didn't know that the lips that were parted with ease, or the liquid that began to puddle on Stephanie's buttermilk fingertips until she felt them in Stephanie's cool hands. This right here is your clit. It's what makes you feel good. Susie Centro shouted out glitter vibrations down to her unpainted toes, up to her freed, unpainted lower bitten lip, as Stephanie continued to whisper and call out Susie's body by name. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olivia. So up next it's Alex Petunia. Are you in the house, Alex? Oh, okay. So Daisy Magallanes in the house. Oh yeah, Daisy. Give it up for Daisy Magallanes, everyone. Woo!
Hi, y'all. Happy Pride. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Jessica and Rosie for creating revolutionary spaces, because in the wake of catastrophic events that are unfolding, we really need that. So I really wanted to thank y'all for that. All right. This one's called These Days. These days. A cyclic experience coming down to its final rotations is an interesting spectacle. We will just have to see where that wheel lands. Will you watch it with me? You can't always run. You know that. The dreadful has already happened on different lands, time zones, and their geopolitical lines. Flags. What is a flag? Asked Juan. Constitutions and lamentations of imagination. Different toilet bowl puke dissertations and proposals that you prize and rinse off so diligently. Meetings and missed calls. Lovers and their disapproving observations. Periods, missed ones, and semicolons. The seedless air conditioning monotony, the different frights of survival, take your pick. Every fucking time that whiskey burns or that wine spills, as we watch ourselves and our guts' contents go down a city well, and our vagabonding eyes swell, and that metronome loneliness we both know well, presses us up against one another in an insipid waltz, we will caress the knowing that we are not too far from one another. After all, that's what a doomsday clock does for me on the regular, brings me closer to those lost within me. We are the new abnormal experience. Discard your new normal at the waste bin, basura, trash can, at the exit. Who are we to appease with consoling words? You clock in and out of your existential crisis, but do not get paid for your overtime. That's an overindulgence, they may say. but it pays off in the end with the ego lying in its bloody pulp. Maybe knowing makes you more romantic, but it also makes you acknowledge how much you appreciate your space, the space that is so delicately, not so delicately, closing in on us. I can only walk around with vile bitterness in my mouth these days. My legs shake under the table, but no one can tell, can they? These days, I try to lose people's gaze from my own. Are the whites of my eyes showing too much these days? These days, I look in the mirror. Thank you.
Thank you, Daisy. That was beautiful. So up next, we have Brian Wicker. Bryn Wicker, thank you so much. Hi, Bryn. Nice to meet you.
Hello. Please forgive me for taking off my mask. My eyes are filled with fog and I need my glasses to read. Thank you. I will put it back on in just a second, I promise. My name is Bryn Wickard. My pronouns are they, them. Thank you all for coming. It is so nice to see a real live poetry event. Thank you, both of you. Thank you. St. Wilgefortis. Patronage, relief of tribulations from abusive husbands, attributes, crucified woman, bearded lady. It wouldn't be difficult to braid a fable out of my tumorous irony. Sudden second puberty, a messiah my father prays to, who, I must admit, has a sense of humor, a joke instead of a toast. Facial hair I could weave garlands through. The night before the wedding, I got what I wanted. No ceremony. You'll have choices in the future. I can see them in the hills as front of me get dimmer. Before the final fiddle creaks, after I am hung up like some freakish and punctured flag, untangle your own excess. Disencumber yourself, refuse to ornament hideousness with bells and balms, and let yourself live lighter. In the approaching centuries, a common joke will be that you can't fix ugly, but here's the punchline. You will be able to escape it. You can leave, pack a bag and say it's for an earthquake. I am starting to see the future for people like us. There are prisms everywhere, bolting on the periphery of my vision. Dear God, it's happening while I am dressed in pink and blue. I know what I prayed for, and I am delivered, but I did not ask for the stigma or stigmata. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. A conversation between Virginia Woolf and Sappho. 1, Virginia's letter. It seems what I feel I cannot write, and if I am able, all that comes are violets, only violets. I am overcome with longing for a girl. Her spirit is monumental for such a slight creature. The fingers which hold my heart are as thin as my ego. Her eyes are oceanic. They disturb apathy and stir my imagination. I am left fragile as vaudeville, catapulting, crumbling. I have only pantacles to offer her. Of all the millions in my head, of all the myriads, there is loud in this quiet. There is weight to these words, like stones in pockets. Sappho's reply. Gentle lamb, this is only Genesis. Aphrodite's hand has struck you with affection. This is not the only time pain will feel good. The arrowhead is but kissing the wedding stone. You think she would bleed berry wine, the whole of her made from ivory and steel. The clinging of her dress sends you shaking. Naming her gentle would affront the muses. Her heart will be yours in another era. Her heart will love you in secret. Make a song someday of you and of your violet-lapped bride. You are in love with a girl. And this is my last piece. Bodicha. Occupation, justice-oriented warrior. Distinctions, untamable personality, and lavish mane of hair. It must be explained sharply how of the word rape derives raptus, to steal. Sex becomes a sword when you equate it with a weapon. Pierce, penetrate, prey. Some summer afternoon, after tearing a shirt with my teeth in bed and tying my hair back with the scrap of cloth, you whispered me Bodicha. Fierce in battle, you explained, known for her remarkable beauty. Are you ready for the horrifying ordeal of being known? You are gorgeous and pretty and handsome, athletic. Lover, legend me someone to worship, and likewise, I will kneel.
That was amazing. Thank you so much for reading. I appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you for being here. I think we met on Zoom, but you know, yeah. So is Alex Petunia in the house? Not yet? Okay. For sure. And then Margot? All right. All right. We have a video for Margot Perrin, everyone. So Margot Perrin. Woo!
All across her body are signposts. Down her torso weaves a long scar at the juncture where ribs separate and the body becomes soft and round. The scar disappears just below her navel, a train track. On her hip, a sliver the size of a tiny railroad crossing. An inch across the throat, a thin-lipped half moon. Above the left collarbone, a naked river. Two small crosses bridge the top of an arch. An inch mile marker carves a groove in the groin. Another hails its salutation at the top of the thigh. Cancer didn't form her, but carved a map on a scatter of bromeliads, floating in space above shifting desert sands. Before the disease caused by the name of a man, not her father, staked its claim and snaked its invasion through the isthmus and tributaries of her lymph glands. The only roots she had known were unplanted, unpalpable on their airborne journey, unlike the first lump in her neck. At 19, infected by cancer, injected by heroin by a white-coated nurse who pricked her skin into silence, the stitches and scars of outrageous fortune. With her father by the bedside with unseeing eyes, pain rebelled, erupting in visions of showers, gas houses behind closed lids, the crematoria of her ancestors. Hospital, Holocaust, hallucination, hailing from Eastern Europe, the clandestine birthplace of her forebears, as yet unchartered, except in dreams. An unconscious monument to the tune of the unknown Jewish daughter on a landscape of shifting clouds.
USAA Bank is made to help with.
Yeah.
All right, that was Margot Perrin, a contributor from Sonoma County. Woo-woo, we love Margot. Big love to Margot Perrin. And yes, absolutely. I love it when we get a view from all parts of life, the beginnings, the endings, in between. And our next reader, our next poet from Queer Uprising is none other than the muse herself, the beautiful and talented Rosie Alonso. Let's give it up. Let's give her some love. The creator of the Queer Uprising. And oh my gosh, and Rosie is always down to get to it. And like, if there needs to be something done, she'll get it done. And let's go.
Thank you. Howdy, everyone. Yeah, I'm gonna read a poem. So I grew up in East LA, and since I'm in LA, I moved to San Francisco a couple months ago, but since I'm back in LA, I just want to do my homage to Los Angeles. And I grew up listening to punk, and I was that girl that was like 12 and in the mosh pit. And my mom didn't know. So yeah, so it was a fun time. But I just want to play this in the background because this is a band that I used to listen to, Los Rudos. But I'm gonna read this poem while that's playing in the background, so you guys could kind of get like a visual. So this is called How to Plan for an East LA Punk Show. And you decide this is an emergency. I mean, it's not a party, Daniel. Call your girls when you run out of hairspray and you need them to spare you. Letty walks through the door with the side of her head shaved. Mari had brown hair yesterday, but now it's cheaper than it used to be. But you agree, it looks good. They help you style up your mohawk. Mari gets the back, you get the front. Letty stands on a turn. It's a routine. Go over the homegirl guidelines for punk shows. We link arms and shove our way into the pit. And if we end up bashing each other in the face like last time, ni modo. No hard feelings, all right? If one of us gets drunk, we make sure no vato tries to fill us up. Oh, and we hold each other's hair up if we gotta puke. Because the hair's important. Shit we want to do. You agree and shake hands. East LA style. Grab your skateboard and follow the crowd of people driving to the street until really fun. Drinking a 40-ounce apple cider. The screech of the speakers vibrates up your spine, making your heart rush against your started song. So you stay and running in the drummer's count of 1, 2, 3, 4. Letty leads on with you and Maddie, you push your way through the crowd. Take an elbow to the nose. Miss under the eye. Lower lip, which only pumps you up, so you slam that person to Letty, and Letty pumps into Mari, and Mari crashes into Juan, and Juan runs into the crowd, mixing sweat and blood, a sacred ritual. Everything's a blur. You catch a glimpse of Mari on top of Juan's shoulders, holding an open can of Dos Equis above her head like a halo. That piping a todos con cerveza. You push, get pushed, fall, and get back up. A mosh pit roller derby, rojera style. Guitar licks, bass drums a toda madre. Spinning and spinning until the music stops. The vecinos have called the cops complaining about devil music. We pretend it's someone's birthday and start singing happy birthday. That way they think they walked into a typical party. But that plan was used last Friday and the cops don't buy it, so they shut us down. On the way out, we heard music with the follow tones and surprise, East LA style. Once you get home, strip the beer stain off your face and you linger and set a beat off your ball. Check yourself out on the side mirror of the parked car. I'm like reading right now. I'm like reading off my phone. Once you get home, check yourself out in New York's park car. Apply makeup to cover up those fleshy forms and pictures along your collarbone. You may be 16, survived an earthquake in the pit, and think you're hot shit, pero ni mames. You know damn well you'll still get the timeline. Thank you guys.
Rosie, 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 Rosie. Oh yeah. Oh, that was tight. I love it. You get the whole vibe, the punk shows, the mosh pit, though. I love it. Thanks for taking us there, Rosie. Lots of love. Also just happy she came down back to LA for this event. She's like, I wouldn't miss a Queer Writers Festival. Woo! We're so happy to have you here. And we got our drag show happening later on. Oh my goodness. Lots of exciting stuff happening. Just a little rundown. Right now, we're going to segue into our Queer Uprising open mic. We got 5 guests that are on it. They're going to share one piece. Remember, 4 minutes, not 64 minutes. And then after that, we're going to bring up some of our featured readers tonight. And they do come from all genres, from fiction, nonfiction, and we have definitely poets in the house tonight. And we're going to have a panel. This chair's here. If you're wondering, we are going to have a panel discussion, probably do 2 questions. And then after that, we'll have our intermission where y'all can enjoy the party and check out the libros, check out the books, and get to know each other. And after that, around 10, we will have our drag show. We also have a singer. We have Jairus here today too. So after the poetry, we'll have a singer, we'll have a song, and then we'll have our intermission. And we also have some awards we want to give out. So I'm going to shut up so I can continue to try to get us in our schedule. Okay, so Queer Uprising open mic, y'all ready for that? All right, we're going to put the timer on. We got to do this old school style because, you know, the jefe is over here too. We got to give them some love too. We got to get them out, get them home by midnight, I think. All right. So our first guest for the Queer Uprising open mic is Paul Manchester. Let's hear it for Paul. All right, you got 4 minutes, Paul. 4 minutes.
Thanks. Thank you very much for planning this. This is an old poem, but it just seemed appropriate for the event. It's from my book, Pushes of Whimsy, and there's 2 in the raffle. So anyway, it's called Blair and His Incredible Flair. There was no doubt about it. Despite their despair, his parents could see their boy liked to do hair, but he was very good. No one could deny that this 8-year-old boy could tease hair 3 feet high, with ringlets and feathers, with pigtails and curls, with strings of brown leather, whole birds' nests and pearls. All this amid tresses swirled smartly aloft. Few parents had seen such singular coifs. It started when Blair, yes, that was his name, on Sunday at 2, called on his grand dame at the Sunnybrook's home for the old and infirm. She bitterly complained that she needed a perm. The nurses are lazy, the doctors don't care, and I haven't enough money to fix up my hair. But Blair answered quick without missing a beat. I'll do your hair, Grandma. I'll fix it up neat. He went straight to work with scissors and combs, with pill bottles for curlers and some pencils from home. He sprayed and he teased and he scrupulously lifted, pre-dyeing it to look hirsute Rufusly gifted. And when he was done, Grandma was such a sight that the neighbors all gaped and then started a fight over who would be next for remedial bliss. Then the nurses came over to see what was amiss. Ere long, Blair was snipping and coloring them all. Nurses and doctors, he had wigs for the bald, the senile, the sick, with such gentle finesse. Sunnybrook soon glowed bright with the light of his genius. When Blair's parents got home, they were not amused. A boy should do boy stuff, not play with moose. A boy should play baseball, or tennis at least. A boy should make slingshots or catch little beasts. What future is there for a boy who does hair? They shuddered to think the possibilities there, but that's what Blair did, for he did it quite well. And his parents adjusted to his experiments with gel. And before long, they allowed him to do their hair too. and their fear turned to pride in their son's daring do. For becoming a man has much less to do with some skills with a football or to get black and blue. The skills of the heart are what make the man, and using your gifts the best that you can. Blair's crafting of hairdos may not seem worthwhile, but the world is more beautiful when somebody smiles, and smile the world did when it saw his creations, and much worse could be said for some other vocations. Thank you.
Go, Paul. Let's give a big applause. And you set the bar high, Paul. Woo! They set the bar high and left 1 minute and 20 seconds on the clock. Woo-hoo! There we go. It can be done. It can be done. All right. Our next guest at the Queer Uprising open mic is Venice Waves. Woo! Let's hear it for Anthony. Venice Waves. When you come up to the podium, you all can take your mask down to read or sing or anything you're going to do.
I'm Anthony, and also go by Venice Waves. This is my first time here, so it's great to be here. This is called A Dream. Let me be a dream to you, a mere feeling of pain let loose. You're not conscious anymore. You don't know how to feel. Maybe my absence will. Then I ask that you look out to space and know that you're not alone. The more I'm by myself, the more I don't know where I come from, why I'm here. You don't need me. That's the gift I give you. I miss you, those I never had the chance to say goodbye to. A complicated sort of love, belonging to no one but to all. Just a mere passerby, an observer. We change, I will change. Love struck me. Love sometimes says, all too often. Only those who were hurt did I encounter, their pain and depression not meant to trespass on me. Though a heart can only witness so much, I feel so much. I see you in my dreams to have love now, or in the future, I don't know. In all's one's path to a certain kind of loss. A loss of self, those many perspectives to love all, and come back to ourselves once more. When? Only we will know. A love so great shows all sensations felt not in vain, feeling pain, being human.
Venice Wave, and good job getting that done. We got the first moment here, like you know. I don't want to make that analogy, but you got your feet wet with us, so we're so happy that was here. Yes. Woo. Okay, our next guest at the Queer Uprising Open is AC the Poet. Woo.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be back in LA. I used to come here every year to visit my family, and I miss it, so it's nice to be back here. This piece is called, thank you. This piece is called Prohibido. Prohibido. Oh, sorry, Prohibido. My Spanish sometimes is the. Katy Liliana Sanchez. Nos conocimos under such circumstances. I am safe now. No tengo miedo. I feel safe now to say your name. Katy Liliana Sanchez. Pero no estás aquí, a forbidden fruit cut from Adam's throat, allowing the world to dictate our connection with snakes. The community had a say in how we exchanged energies. If I could go back, I would be the rose I needed, so that you could be the rosa you needed to be, and we could cultivate garden together with protection. You were always so good at being yourself, entering a room with confianza, sitting on my toilet, door open, smoking your bowl. You didn't care that we were on the border. the border of political pressure and oppression, that socially, if either one of us got caught with the bowl or the feelings, it could mean life. Chased out with torches, torture, secrecy was safer. The community marked "You Peligro," and I was in the public eye. Every move I made was being watched. The only time I got to touch you was on the back of your moto. I remember pressing my chest to your back, hoping my heart seeped through the clothing and you could feel my desire. Almost got kicked out of the country twice. So I laid low. That didn't mean I didn't love you. It meant I had to be strategic to stay alive. You became a metaphor for happiness unattained, a smile for a simile for a smile unseen, an emoji erased. You became a stove. I wanted to be near the stove, to touch the stove, yet had to be conscious of the heat and proximity so I didn't burn. Your mom knew. She lectured us about the Bible, pressured us to go to church for protection. Funny how fear makes us do things even as adults. So I went to church twice a week for 4 hours. Every time. People in the town of 300 knew. A 7-year-old student asked if I was a lesbian one day while I was teaching. I got scared, really scared, terrified of my own heart beating me. So I had to save us, made decisions to save us, started dating a guy to save us. Hardest decision I ever made. Everyone found out. All my problems went away. You went away. And no one questioned again, except me. I questioned, still question. Every time someone said his name, I would think and question, Katy Liliana Sanchez. You called me Christine, but I always felt like an Adam. And you always felt like an Eve. Nos vemos. Thank you.
Whoa, that was so beautiful and emotional. I'm like, I could cry. I'm like, no, just be you. Just be to being true to who you are, everyone. Be yourself. I know it's a journey. And you know, the generations to come and everything, it's getting easier and easier and easier and easier. You know, I teach high school and 10th graders, 9th graders, I ask them, what are your gender pronouns? And I just bring it up right away. And, you know, I'm not scared to have those talks and just let everybody know who I am and they can tell me who they are and be comfortable with it. And happy to say these kids, they were born in 2006, I think, 2005, these, you know, but they didn't think it was weird. I asked them, they were just, some of them didn't know what it meant yet, but they were not like, oh, well, that's, you know, they were not biased. They were not being rude about it or anything. And so I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Cause I went to high school in the 90s and I'm like, well, in the 90s, I don't know if they would have probably been talking smack, you know, and making cracks. And so I'm like, it's getting easier and easier and easier. And that's beautiful, like that our community and that our society is becoming, I feel, more tolerant and there's more love for all, you know, and I think also things like this, visibility, you know, we're not going anywhere, right? Queer Uprising, we're not going anywhere. And that helps, that definitely helps, you know. So I think, yes, that was intentionally like my teared up like, oh, be you. All right. So our next guest at the mic is Marlena Hammer. Woo!
Hi, everybody. I'm from out of town. I'm here from Arizona. And I came here for the Community Literature Initiative First Writing Conference with two of my poetry friends, AC and Venice Waves. So I'm happy. I don't hope I'm not stealing the spotlight from anybody else, but I chose a poem about love. Actually, that's the only one I could find on my phone. And if you give me a second, I also have a poem I will mention. I'm working on my book, as as many CLI people are. And I do have a poem about one of my friends I had years ago, a gay friend, and I don't know what happened to him, but you know, I appreciate love and all kinds of love. And this poem is about my own personal experience. So hopefully I can see the phone dealing with technology. It's called You Fell Into My Life Wearing a Strong Parachute. Impenetrable most times, even during lovemaking. You would never say F-U-C-K-I-N-G. Neither would I, spelling that glorious word as I am right now. You never allowed me to say it freely, openly, to sweeten my lips with those words like red wine and you, not your proper Christian college-bred wife. So much alike, but still too afraid to remove separateness from each other. I guess I had my parachute on for too many years too, but at least I had removed mine enough to finally want it gone. Almost ready to take to my public storage unit, keep it there indefinitely, possibly never getting it back if I decided to stop paying the fee. Wish you would let me take your parachute off, completely off, at least always in bed, where blankets and sheets are temporary, mutable covers. Wish we could have removed our parachutes together, then set them on fire, poured gasoline, lit at least 12 matches commemorating our years inside ourselves, setting a brilliant blaze in the Southgate Towers parking lot, not worried about being discovered or caught. That night, when my arms felt like 50-pound weights, you reluctantly drove me to the hospital. So dark, even bats could not see. Me fearing an impending heart attack or stroke after hanging those blinds alone without you. You never cooked either. Reading WebMD online, you reluctantly drove to emergency like an old lady. We used to talk for hours. Now we did not even discuss snow during the ride. You paced the hallways to avoid me, lying there trying to find warmth under a thin white film nurse's mistake for a blanket. My parachute cover disappeared for a while I waited without you. My tests revealed that my heart could still withstand you like that, me like that, at least a little longer. We drove home with our separate parachutes, stronger than ever, supposedly protecting us once again. Me praying for change. Thank you, everybody. So happy to be here. And let's continue to celebrate love. Thank you, LA Poetry Society. Happy to be here. And this is my first time being here, but not first time in LA, so I'm happy to have come back. Thank you.
Marlena, yeah, beautiful, beautiful piece. Thank you. All right. I'm loving this. Okay, and closing up Queer Uprising open mic is Christian EK.
Happy Pride Month, everybody. Super nervous. I haven't read poems in a long time. Thank you, Rosie and Jessica, for providing the space and creating a community. Super important right now. So my first poem is called Reclaim Your Mind. And this one's actually an acid verse, volume 2. So I'm a little nervous, but okay. Trust your intuition. The goal is to free the mind from all limitations, shaking off the shackles of historical colonization. In this entrapment called poverty, you can lose your sense of direction. No political representation. Who do I turn to for a decent education? An education that doesn't try to sell me the idea that my people were inferior, trying to persuade me that my ancestors were never kings or queens. I fight my oppressors. I fight the pharmaceutical companies that make money off people who are sick. I fight the pretenders who use me. I fight the aggression developed in the violent hoods I was raised in. Take back your God, the genocidal European patriarchal archetype that dominates so many colonized countries. The destroyer of cultures, the enslaver, the eraser of civilizations. Open the center of your humanity and the universe within you. Go inwards and the voice of interconnectedness will speak. Revolution starts with the individual. My church is my home. I can be spiritual without a religion. Coexistence is true resistance. You can be both man and woman, strong and soft, dominant or submissive, non-conforming, choosing self-identity over the binary. The dying forests are you. The unsheltered abandoned by society on Skid Row is you. Take back the power that rightfully belongs to you. Reclaim your mind. Thank you. And I just want to end with this love poem. I feel like love is super important right now, and we should be spreading that. So it's called Love and Honey. Honey, you make everything sweeter. Warm honey drips on my lips. Golden flavors touch the tip of my tongue, which instantly makes me crave you more. A sweet delicacy, a burst of endless pleasure. Honey, your syrupy delight clings to my light hands. Honey, you pair well with these lavender scented candles and creamy colored bedroom curtains. The scent of honeysuckle is in the air as you continue to sweat sweet nectar. The solid walls begin to melt, turning into warm honey. Honey, you are pure and natural. Honey, you are hard to get to. Bees protect you, but I was brave enough to slowly collect you. Honey, I want more and more, but I know I should take things slow. Honey, I consume every ounce of you until we are both satisfied. Love and honey blend for hours, combining so well, ending in gratifying laughter. And when the daylight breaks and the morning after, honey, you smile so magically, and it only makes my heart beat faster.
All right, and that concludes our Queer Uprising hour. Woo woo! You guys are awesome. Guys and gals, y'all beautiful, y'all beautiful. All right, so we are going, we're gonna kind of shift up the show a little bit, but you know, it's okay. It's okay. It's going to work out. So what I want to do next is we're going to start getting into some of our featured guests, and our featured writers, again, represent different genres from nonfiction, fiction, poetry. We even have a piece of a podcast that we're going to share with you. But before we move into that, I want to bring up another guest poet that is here today, Marisha. And also for our guest poets, so the guests that will be part of the panel, just I want to make sure you all know, we have 4 seats. So the panelists will be Sofia Fey. Sofia, you're here, right? Yes, excellent. Soledad con carne, Kelsey Bryan-Zwick, and Jonathan Welch. Jonathan, you in the house? Okay, excellent. Okay, so you all will be reading 2 pieces, and then I'll invite you over to have a seat at the panel. But before that happens, I want to invite Marisha up, and then after that, Jairus will sing a song for us. So Marisha and Jairus are coming up next, and then we'll get into our panelists. Anytime you want to stretch, get a break, get a drink, go to the bathroom, feel free. You know, no problem. We have the door open for you. Okay. And then as far as our intermission, we were going to have an intermission around 9:15. We might still be able to keep that time. But again, if you need to, move around as needed. No worries. All right. So I want to invite Mara Shah. So Mara Shah, if you could share up to 2 pieces with us, that would be wonderful. And I just want to introduce you to our audience tonight. Mara Shah Dupree is a storyteller, movie maker, mover shaker, maybe a movie maker, right? Innovator and creator. As a Black queer homeschooled preacher's kid, born and raised in Sin City, Mara Shah has lived a life of perpendicular lines that have intersected to create the person they have become. Z graduated high school at 16 years old before going to Berea College in Kentucky to pursue, I'm gonna pull this down, I'm like, whew, sweating, to pursue a BA in English. Hi. Well, with a focus in writing. Writer by nature and filmmaker at heart. Oh, I was right, movie maker. See, I wasn't far from that. Mara Shah is a current graduate student and will be obtaining an MFA in film directing from Cal Arts in 2025. Woo! I love it. Mara Shah's work consists of a documentary, short films, and a book of poetry and fictional podcasts. They aspire for the art they create to be a vehicle for healing and change through expanding the minds and hearts of viewers. Their purpose is to leave a meaningful and worthwhile impact by creating art that invites those to experience it, to gain a deeper understanding of themselves and the world, especially the higher power that is at work around us all. You can check out their IG _Mara Shah _. All right, let's bring up Mara Shah.
Hi, y'all. It's my first time here. My name is Marisha Dupree. But no, you're actually fine. That is the Hebrew pronunciation, and it is a biblical name. So yeah, I get that. Yeah, it's so good to see all of your beautiful faces. The first poem that I'll be reading is a poem called Her Hymn. My body is a temple. So if you did not come to worship, why are you here? My body is a temple. So sometimes I may attract beggars and sinners because they think that I am a place they can be closer to God. My body is a temple. No, not just any temple. My body is a Black gospel church. And you can hear the organ playing and the choir singing before you even open the door. My body sings of better days to come. My body is not a late night drive-through, not a construction site, not a graveyard, although men are dying to get in, not a graveyard, although some have buried their sins, not a graveyard, although there are bones within my body. My body is holy. This body, this Black body is holy and made in the image of God. This Black body, this dark skin may be difficult to see in light that is dim, but it is illuminated from the light that is inside of me, in and out, in and out, in and out. My body is not a late night drive-through, not a construction site, not a museum, although tours are held, not a museum, although I have been on display, not a race, although I have been chased, not a race, although I've had to run away. My body is a temple. And yes, sometimes I may attract people who are broken and need healing. Sometimes I may attract liars and hypocrites. Sometimes I may conjure unclean spirits. Sometimes I may be torn down and built up again. And I often need repairs. But my body is not a construction site. My body is a temple, a place of prayer. And even though some may be praying on my downfall, I am not prey. I am not prey. I am not prey. I am not a race, although I have been chased. I am not a race, although I've had to run away. I am not just a race, although my skin is Black like the Ace of Spades. 5 years is nothing compared to a lifetime of pain. My body is not a prison, not a place where men are caged. My body is a temple, a place of prayer. Sorry, I'm so tall. This is kind of hard. I'm gonna take this out. My body is a temple, a place of prayer. Not all of the prayers are my own, although a few I have whispered aloud. My body holds hopes and dreams, elevating me, lifting me higher and higher, uplifting spirits surrounding me. There are angels here. My body is not a school. Although I've had to educate others on being an other, my body is not a school. Although I've had to educate others on my body. About my hair, the way that it twists and curls and will not conform to societal standards. About my lips, about my nose, about my hips, about my purpose in this world. My body is a temple, a place of prayer, a place of praise to I am, because I am. I am. So if you did not come to worship, why are you here? I'm gonna read one more poem. This one's much shorter. This one is called Melody. Before there was anything, there was music. The thump, the pulse, the beat of the heart. Before let there be light, there was a big bang, a crashing of cymbals, a harmonious chorus, trumpets blaring, a bass line that created the pulse of the universe. Before there was anything, there was music. And she didn't even know how to walk yet, but she could dance. She could nod her head to the rhythm. She would sway back and forth. That child could clap on beat before she could speak. Before there was anything, there was music. To her little ears, she would hum herself lullabies, dreaming herself awake. Melody, melody. Melody was born into this world on the downbeat. When the contractions picked up tempo and the beat dropped, she sprang forth, kicking and screaming, lungs of a singer. Created by the dance we all know too well. The thrusting of hips, the slow R&B jams and baritone moans. Melody, melody, melody was created by a falsetto note, a breathy high-pitched tone, a crescendo. Melody learned how to sing a note before she could write one, her vocal cords holding the tremor still. Thank y'all so much for having me.
Marquisha, yes. Marquisha? Marisha, okay, Marisha. Gotcha. Beautiful. Thank you so much. And now we're going to bring up a singer, and we have our wonderful piano. So we can get the light shifted for our pianist, our singer. I'm going to introduce you to Jairus. All right, and as they're getting set up, Jairus Adelaide Carter is a non-binary Black preacher's kid from the west side of Charleston, West Virginia. Ooh, I love, yeah, like all over the country tonight in this place, in this house. This is wonderful. After graduating from Berea College in Kentucky with a BA in theater, they went on to obtain their MFA certificate from the Art of Acting Studio Conservatory in Los Angeles, and will be receiving their MFA in film directing from California Institute of the Arts, Cal Arts 2025. Jairus has acted, written, directed, and produced numerous waves of content. Their collection of work includes short films, a one-woman show, fictional podcasts, and more. Jairus aims to master their creative connection with the most high supreme being in the hopes of establishing numerous avenues of artistic gratefulness, change, and love. And you can keep in touch on Instagram at Peace Love Jairus and Twitter Jairus Carter. And check out the website peacelovejairus.com.
Hey y'all.
Beautiful.
I just want to say, I don't know how y'all found me and Marie, but I'm so happy y'all did.
It's Mauricio Moreno. Mo was the one that cooked us up. So
yes, thank y'all for inviting us. This has been such a great time. There's so much great energy in this room. I wrote this song whenever I first came out, and I'm kind of nervous because this is my first time performing some original music in front of a crowd of people. So thank y'all for y'all's patience in advance. Thank you. This song is called Puss in Boots. Puss in Boots. Here we go. To all of the boys I loved before, hopefully now you're nicer than the ones I ignored. To all of the girls who kiss and let you know tongue's intellectual, tell them this pussy's pansexual. Tell them this pussy's pansexual. I lived my life in the closet, and I thought I'd never come out until I saw myself being free. Now I live my life out the closet, and now I wanna fly 'cause it feels better being me. To all of the girls who I've adored, hopefully now you found the one you're looking for. To all of the boys who go and steal the show, don't let them dim your glow. Tell them this pussy's pansexual. Oh, tell them this pussy's pansexual. And I'm coming out. I'm every woman. I'm all the men. Something you'll never comprehend. I'm coming out. I'm every woman. I'm all the men. Something you'll never comprehend. I'm coming out. I'm every woman. I'm all the men. Something you'll never comprehend. I'm coming out. I'm every woman, I'm all the men, something you'll never comprehend. To all of the boys I've loved before, hopefully now you're nicer than the ones I ignored. To all of the girls who kiss and let you know tongue's intellectual, tell them this pussy's pansexual.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Woo! That was so empowering. Oh my God. I'm gonna cry, guys. Oh my God. That was, it was beautiful. Thank you for writing that and singing that, and your power to just breaking barriers. And oh my God, I love it. Just being you, lighting it up. Oh my God. Cheers. Cheers. Oh Theo, everybody. Oh my God. That was fantastic. Oh my God. Make sure don't spill, guys. No, don't spill in the theater. So just a little background story about this space. I'm going to bust out a Richard Modiano right now. So Beyond Baroque has been here for over 50 years. And this is an extension of the original Venice West beats, the beatniks, like those from the 50s. There was a spot in San Francisco, over in New York, and here in Venice. It's called the Venice West Beats, Venice West. So this really is an extension. This is as bohemian as you can get. What we're doing tonight is very special, but these types of programs and the spirit of this, being true to your spirit, to who you are, is very much what Beyond Baroque is about as a literary center. And y'all familiar with that young poet, Amanda Gorman? Youth Poet Laureate of the US of A, inaugural poet. Well, she was top poetry right here in this room back in 2013 13, 2012, and she was part of a youth poets program by California Poets in Schools, which I'm a part of, and I was one of her teachers. So she's a product of the beats here, of this bohemian and the activism that happens here. And Amanda, y'all see her shining without apology. I'm so proud of that girl. I'm so proud of her. The speech impediment, you would not even know. She speaks so clearly, profoundly. You know, I met her when she was about 13, and she had that same bright light that she's like, I'm gonna be president one day. She would believe that she was like an alien too. Like, she just was so creative and out of this world. She's just next level, and always loved fashion. She was a fashionista. So who you see is who she is. And she's part of this scene here as well. And before this became Beyond Baroque, this was Venice's city hall and court. This used to be the court where they paid the fines. And next door, the Spark building was the jail and the police station. So that's part of the history of Venice right here. Much better now, right? Art, and more art. We took over, baby. We took over. And we ain't going nowhere. All right. So I want to invite up one of my comrades, and because this show would not happen with just me, and thank God it wasn't just me, and I had a team. And I want to bring up Kelsey Bryan-Zwick and just give her some acknowledgement. She is one of our featured poets today as well, but I just want to invite her up just to say hi.
Oh my gosh, the most beautiful thing I've seen in a long time. Thank you all for being here. It was an honor and a privilege to help coordinate part of this event. Am I reading now? Okay. Hi, hello, welcome, thank you. We love you all and appreciate you.
I just wanted to make sure she got to, because we were supposed to co-host or anyway. We working it out. It's all good. All right. So at this point, I am going to bring up, let's get into our panelists, but they're gonna share a piece first. And okay, so this is what we're gonna do. Panelists, poet, writers. When I call your name, I'll read your bio. Come on up and read 2 pieces and go ahead and have a seat. And then the next one will come up, and then we'll do that. That sound good? Okay. All right. So Kelsey, did you want to do this part? I got this. You want to just enjoy? All right. So I'll have Kelsey introduce. So here's everybody. And yes, teamwork. Okay, beautiful. So you can do this one. And then I'll introduce you. Got it? All right.
Jonathan, did you want to go first? I'm just asking because I know you had no, you're good. All right. Yeah? Is it? All right, we're going to start off with Jonathan Bradley Welch, who I know from the Stonewall Democratic organization here in LA. Yes, Jonathan Bradley Welch is an actor, formerly an actor. He's going to be on stage today. So, and a writer originally from Massachusetts who has performed on storytelling shows like Risk, Don't Tell My Mother, and others. He was the host of the podcast, A Special Presentation. And he is a lovely human being. I'm so happy to share the stage with him.
Oh my God. Thank you, Kelsey. I have to say, you're all so profoundly talented, and I'm just a comic who talks about jerking off with people he regrets. So I hope that that's okay with you folks tonight, that energy's okay. Okay, good. Because this is a story for you. This is a story from my mind. This is a story from my life. And the story begins at New Year's Eve when my friend David said, "Hey, Jonathan, do you have any New Year's resolutions?" And I said, I just belted out, "Be scarce," in my best Elaine Stritch, like I'm still here, like just it came out of my mouth. And he was like, "What do you mean by that?" And I said, I think we all give so much of ourselves out on social media, and we put so much of ourselves out there with dating and with friendships that sometimes it's nice to pull back. And so I significantly pulled my social media presence back in the last year or so, last couple years. And it wasn't always that way. I was very careful to create this image of myself that was very accessible to everyone, that was just out there, this person who I wanted to be. And I never did that more than when I was younger, in college, and in the closet. I was basically putting myself out as America's golden boy, like, you know, just the boy next door. But I was not just your typical boy next door. I grew up in Massachusetts. And for those of you who are thinking that Massachusetts is, you know, whimsical with autumn leaves and the Kennedys and everybody wearing boat shoes, my reality was more like all of my aunts would drink a bunch of Miller Lite, crush the beer cans on their heads, and then get into fistfights over the Boston Celtics. And that's fantastic, right? So it wasn't a very conducive environment for somebody to be openly queer growing up, though. So I really tried hard to suppress it. But late at night, I would fire up my compact Presario computer, get on AOL, and go into chat rooms. And I wouldn't stop at just AOL. There were other websites like gay.com or Manhunt, which, if you don't know what Manhunt is, I think you know what Manhunt is. I would go on there and I would chat with guys who sparked some interest. I learned early on that I like them beefy, I like them hairy, I like to have a little bit of hair in my teeth after doing something. And you're not gonna find that just, you know, in college. You have to go hunting for it on the internet. So I would get into chat rooms and I would talk to guys, and I met one guy named Brian, and Brian was from the Midwest. He was far away from me. He looked to be my type, which I would say is somebody who would age into a former baseball coach. And he was perfect, and we chatted all the time. We would keep each other up at night, and we would talk about our lives. I was in the closet, he was in the closet. He lived in a pretty, you know, conservative area in the Midwest, and I lived in a pretty conservative area of New England. And we would share these stories and we would jerk off on cam with each other. And the speeds were not very good in 2004, okay? So it was like a miracle, and I pat myself on the back for that. But we connected on many levels, and he seemed to like me for my mind on top of liking me for other things. And so, you know, we would hop onto the computer at night. We would meet up with each other. We would chat. We would talk about politics. We both had this burning interest in all things political and what was going on in the country. And we would keep this going for years. I mean, 3, 4, 5 years. We would talk to each other, not every night, but on occasion. And whenever it was like an old friend whose dick you were quite familiar with. And we would have these conversations with each other, and with this understanding that we would get each other's backs, that we knew these secrets about one another. But, you know, secrets are not meant always to be kept, and I wasn't meant to be kept in the closet. And I discovered in college that I needed to come out. And so I came out to all those aunts who crushed beer cans on their heads. They all cried, tears of joy. They were thrilled. My mom, a hardened Boston broad, said, you know, I'm really sorry that you're gay because men are pigs. And I think, I mean, look around at our world. She's right, everyone. Right. And so eventually Brian and I would talk online, and I told him that I came out, and I sensed this kind of discomfort with him. Like I had crossed a threshold that he didn't have the guts to cross himself. He couldn't do it himself. And it was almost like I was part of a club that he understood he could never be part of. But he could, right? He could be part of it if only he really wanted to. And our friendship continued. And then the 2008 election was coming up. And we started talking about that. In fact, we would talk less and less about the sexual stuff because my reality was very real. I was living my out and open life, and his was very different. So the realm of fantasy and the reality just could not come together. So we would talk about the other things that we had in common. And I remember he said, "Do you have a horse in this race?" Which I think is gross when people say that about political races, but we do anyway. And I said, "Yeah, I do. I'm actually I'm working on the Hillary Clinton campaign in New Hampshire, 2007, late 2007, before the New Hampshire primary." And he said, "Well, that's great. I am working on a campaign as well, and I'm going to the Iowa caucuses, so I can work for Mike Huckabee." All those years of talking to him, and I had no idea. I had no idea because we were just so caught up in the moment. We were so caught up in coitus that we didn't know that we were on completely different sides, completely different ideological sides of this ideological spectrum. And I was I stood on such a soapbox when I was in my 20s that I was just like, I can't believe, I had like a Julia Sugarbaker moment where I just kind of let him have it. He said, "I can't believe that with everything that we fight for, that everything we fight against every day, that you, someone who's closeted, that you can't just, live your reality. You can't support people who are going to help you in your life, and instead you're going to support people who are actively hurting you." And he said, "Well, I don't have to hurt. In fact, my life is pretty good." And I said, "Well, listen, I want a marriage. I want a relationship. I want all of these wonderful things that I should be allowed to have. Don't you want those things too?" And he said, "Yes, you know what? I do, Jonathan. I do want those things too. I want to have a good marriage, and I am in a good relationship." And I was like, "Well, that's news to me. You're in a relationship." And he said, "And she and I hope to get married." That was a moment when scarcity really was needed, and I needed to just split. I let him have it, perhaps verbally assaulted him online a little bit, but it was direct, just one-on-one. And we didn't talk, and we didn't talk again, ever again. But the thing about scarcity, when you give up a lot of your online presence, when you're not on Facebook all the time, is that you have moments to think for yourself. You have moments to think about your memories and to think about people in your past. And not too long ago, I thought about Brian. And because, of course, we were connected in the days of 2003, 2004, 2005, we had each other's email addresses. So we knew each other's names, full names. So I decided, well, I don't have Facebook anymore, but I'm going to look him up. So I went to Twitter, which is a great place to look up people on the other side of political spectrum from you. And I found him, and there he was in all of his former baseball coach glory, now at the age of 38, 39. And his banner photo was him with that girlfriend, who is now his wife, and their 4 children. And then I found his bio just below and found that he's continued in politics. He's a lawmaker. And he's the chair of his county's GOP. And I thought about it, and I thought about where we are today, right now. And I thought about how one night in November 2016, I spent the entire night crying on my boyfriend's shoulder for hours and hours. And I was wondering if maybe on that night, when I was crying, thinking about this day and what's happening right now around us and to our lives, and the fear that I had, was he in sheer victory and fucking his wife and thinking about my dick to get over the finish line? I'm never gonna out anyone. Brian's not his real name. It's close, but not his real name. The Midwest is a big place. I'm not gonna tell you what state he's from. But I have that Twitter handle, and I'm just thinking that maybe now might be a good time to follow him so that he gets that notification, and so that somewhere in the middle of this country, someone who cozies up to Mike Pence and Joni Ernst and all of the worst offenders will see that this progressive remembers who he is, knows his secret, and is just here to say hi. Thank you all very much.
You're welcome to sit here, but if you want to sit back on the thing, and then we'll invite you back. Yeah. Just, relax. Like, I don't want to follow that, but we were going to do like the fiction segment to like break up some of the poetry. I'll call him up. I'll call. I think I'll go next, and then we'll call up the featured poets. I got it. No. I know it's in here somewhere. I'm Kelsey. I'm the exquisite poet on the Instagram. I have a new book out called Here Go the Knives. It's from Moontide Press. There's copies in the bookshop. I had like a really cool lipstick feature earlier. It was like half dark, half light. I was like trying to play with my face. But it's been a long, sweaty evening with masks on. So I won a short story contest. It's a film noir kind of gender. Well, we'll get into that part. I call it a horror kink. So I'm just gonna get into it. It's called Femme Fatale and the Gun. She is all legs that go on and on, a velvet throat that has you thinking of all the wrong ends of a back alley. In black and white, you cannot see the poison of her eyes, but she has those eyes. You are already imagining the sleight of hand at the zipper of her dress, a smile that suggests her winsome intentions. Before she even hums your name, her name, you begin to quiver at the mouth of her possible release. In your eye, she will only ever bend in a soft glow, ready, oh so ready, to get close up. The Venetian blinds open and close, blinking at their voyeurism. A girl like that is always on exhibition. She could wear a paper sack, be shaved head to toe, something stiffens. You think it is your gun. You want something to be wrong so that you can muster up the sweat and pheromones fixing it. Of course, there is always something wrong. She is a woman, for crying out loud. Of course, you don't want to fix that. You want to cry out loud, the way you already know the Venetian blinds will cry over this one. Looking up from between her legs, their endless pleasure, and just above the curve of her abdomen, there it is, winking at you, her nipple. Now glistening with the wet stain of your saliva, your head full with the stiff arch of moaning, her velvet throat, her hand on the back of your neck, gripping you like a gun. She wakes in the slant eye of silk sheets with a twist of her wrist, the Venetian blinds open to a glaring of daylight, an eye too wide open. The way she'd tied you up with the gasping, you hadn't noticed her scars, even now in the dizzy before coffee glow of morning, you couldn't think much past the memories of nipples. Ankle bone sigh, the exquisite squeeze just below thigh, but those scars, her scars, the way they looked now, they didn't seem possible. Before you can consider the depth of them, though, the texture of finger imprint, there she is again on top of you, drawing out moans from beyond your capacity to reason. Bullet-shaped moans. As you pull the trigger, you know you'll do it again. Could only ever do it again. You feel the dark, warm stain absorb into the fabric of your suit, the red splatter across your freshly washed face, a fleck of blood dotting lips, the iron taste of it. You rub a smudge away from your eye. You don't see the body draining blood. Hypnotized with the possibility of again looking into the poison of her eyes. As the glowing pleasure passes through you, even now in the sweat of this heat, as you pat the corpse down for imprint, you continue to water at the thought of her. As you flee the scene in a melt of wanting, you look up at her. You swear you see her, but you can't be sure. A remembered velvet intoxicates your mind, bleary-eyed Venetian blinds. In a half swoon, you stumble unsure of where you are going, only just wherever it is. You suspect she'll be there. The next morning, the cold heaviness of gun in your hand. You know you'd kill for her again. A little death, le petit mort, even just a taste, sitting in a stupor you can't shake, dizzy with her headiness, your place. You want her love. You want her to love you for your peace. You begin to moan again, just for a whimpering and a whiff of it. Your gun hardens with the thought, ready to beg. Somehow from the smell, you know it is her blood. You rush towards it, silk, sweat, velvet, stale smoke. Through all that scent, her blood draws you, makes you a little crazy with lust. It crawls through the rest of your intentions, mad as any siren call. Her breathing pulses like tinnitus in the scoop of your ears, envisioning the late night reel of skin that plays over the attention of your eyes, rabid with a desire you can't drink. How to exhale, you rub your hand up against the thought of her skin, her legs that extend beyond physics, her bend, now just a wet dream wish. You begin to choke on the hope of attempting her inner pulse, holding your breath at her second mouth. Your skin tenses with the thought, a bit of saliva accumulating with desire, stiff. You hold your gun again. She is on you, mouth at the trigger post of your neck. Again, that quivering, your skin awash with want, gripped in the thought of her thighs, impress of ankle bone, paralyzed with the thought, nipple in your mouth. You imagine her formed so ripe inside the shape of perfect lips, suckle, chin, stubble, bristle, the paradise texture of it. She pulls the gun off you. You do not feel the rest of your senses drain away. Your mouth sounds like a bullet. Your voice caught somewhere you can't name. Smoke rises from the gut of your abdomen. You stiffen, you harden. You sigh but cannot sigh. Remembered moan sticks a bit, so you startle a little. Your breathing grows shallow in the fever of your want. You wake like a soft cotton. You sleep in the curve of skin. When you make a sound, it is a moan, but it sounds like bullet. All you feel now, the imprint of her mouth, her teeth on your skin, and still your blood rises for her. You want to beg, but your mouth doesn't move. Even if you still had a voice, you can't remember the words. You moan as she holds you like a gun. You moan. You never realize it's over, but there she is standing above your body, those endless legs. You know, only she could have gotten you this stiff, this hard up, and it shouldn't be funny, but a little bit of the ghost in you that's left laughs, unheard, of course, on the ephemeral astral plane, your body there, limp, shriveled and suckered of its juices, what you wouldn't give to be milked again. A husk of yourself, only a carcass of a dream you eat at the delirium of. You feel cold now, a splayed gun. You still fit the shape of her hand, the range of her bullet. You see it now, finally, how those legs really do go on. 8 of them, in fact, how that coy mouth conceals fangs, how good she is with the rope, so quick with love knots. You forgot to recognize the web. Love bitten until you were love stuck, spun and sucked dry. Oh, how she sucked you dry. Still, you think, I'd do it again. As a second spider woman enters the scene, her legs twice as long, twice as endless. Your longing now just as multiplied as they begin to kiss the velvet of each other's throats, twist of limbs, more inner thigh than body. Well, you know now, her velvet and legs. She was always after blood, and you would always take pleasure in giving it. To our tech team, I was hoping we could play a few minutes of the Hateful Homicide podcast, which has been provided to us by our dear friend, Mallory Jenner Robinson. And this is a true crime podcast, which features trans, non-binary crimes, people who have had crimes against them. And they're in their 3rd season now. I can read a little bit of her bio. Mallory Jenner Robinson is an Afro-Caribbean trans woman and transgender and HIV healthcare advocate in Los Angeles. Hello. First working with the LGBTQ Center in Long Beach, Long Beach in the house, from 2019 to 2021 as the emergent specialist and service navigator for the transgender health program. In the summer of 2019, she began working at the LGBTQ Center Wait, I just repeated one sentence. Sorry. The duties of this position included case manager of clients, linkage to care, and other services. I highly recommend them if you are in Long Beach.
On the daily. Another one of my friends got killed right up the street from here.
These cases are true. The victims are real, and their voices matter. This is a hateful homicide. The murder of Nikki Kuhnhausen, the Snapchat sling. Listening discretion is advised.
So our victim in this case is Nicholas or Nikki Kuhnhausen, born July 6th of 2001. Nikki was living with friends in an apartment on Graham Road. We received a report on June 10th of this year by her mother, Lisa Woods, and we were told that Nikki was missing and rarely went more than a day without contacting her mother. Through interviews with roommates and mom, detectives learned that Nikki left her residence on June 5th. She returned early in the morning on June 6th and left again a few hours later with the male she reportedly met earlier that evening or the night before. There were no further contacts or sightings of Nikki since that time. Members of the Missing Person Unit and Digital Evidence Unit obtained social media information on Nikki. They authored warrants for her social media, and using that information, David Bogdanov was identified as a person who picked her up at that residence. In attempting to contact Mr. Bogdanov, a number of family members were contacted, and social media was utilized to try and attempt contact. Detectives were eventually able to contact Mr. Bogdanov. He confirmed with him that he had picked Nikki up at the apartment that morning. David and Nikki went to a residence in the county, and at this time, David says Nikki told him that she was biologically male. David gave a statement that made him really uncomfortable and disturbed him, and he asked Nikki to get out of his van, and she walked away. According to David, that was the last time she was seen. More investigative information came in, showed a number of inconsistencies.
Sorry about that. We were going to play about 4 minutes, but as you can see, Mallory Jensen's podcast is, as a trans woman herself, is dedicated to sharing the stories, and it's called A Hateful Homicide. That's the name of the channel, but sharing the stories of different trans people that were killed. And I think this is a big, and while the topic is difficult, always talking about death is very difficult, but this is a form of activism I feel and very important. And the fact that Mallory has created a channel, particularly to these stories, true stories, I think is very important. And then I'm happy to share the link. Basically, it's ahatefulhomicide.net if you want to be in touch with Mallory and learn more about that project and just share and listen to their content. All right, so we are going to take a 10-minute break. So we'll come back in about 10 minutes. I'll also make a call out to the back, but enjoy. There's drinks, there's food. Check out the Los Angeles Poet Society table. Remember, we're raffling off a John Waters Pink Flamingo shirt. It's a size medium. It's a vintage shirt. $2 to enter that raffle. All you gotta do is you can send us $2 or put $2 in the little jar there and put your name in the bucket. That's how you win. We got to draw names. Right now there's only one name in there, so That person might just get it for $2. But nevertheless, check it out. We're also raffling off a few books. We're raffling off Kelsey's book, Here Come the Knives. And we're also raffling off Paul Manchester's book, The Whimsy. So check it out, and check out the Scott Weinberg bookstore, support Beyond Baroque, and enjoy yourself. We'll be back in 10. We'll continue with the rest of our featured guests, and then we'll get into a panel with, I'll just give 2 questions, and then we'll get ready for our drag show. Thank you so much, everyone. Happy Pride. Welcome again. Welcome back to the Queer Writers Festival and Drag Show. Woo! We're getting closer and closer to the drag show. Thank you again for being here, and thank you to Beyond Baroque for being our home and a sponsor for Los Angeles Poet Society, and also just the home for this beautiful event. Again, we're making history tonight. This is our legacy event tonight, so get ready for the next one next year too, y'all. Okay. So let's get everybody in here. Hold on a second. All right, so we are going to continue. We have two more readers that will be part of our panel, Sol con Carne and Sofia Fey. And I'm going to give, we're going to have a panel discussion with 2 questions. I've cut it down to 2 questions. And if our poets could read maybe 2 or 3 pieces, that's all right. But that way we'll just continue with our program, and then we'll culminate. We do have a few award acknowledgements that we want to give and hand out tonight, and culminate with our drag show. All right, y'all outside, if you can hear me, come on in, or else I have to close these doors. But come on in, please. Thank you, everybody, for being in the theater. And cheers, happy Pride, everyone. Giving a shout to my best friends and good friends that made it. Kelly in the audience, and Michael and Joel. Lots of love, y'all. Also seeing Angela here in person. Oh my goodness. She's a friend I made over at in the Valley, in San Fernando Valley, and then kept in touch online. She lives in Michigan. And during pandemic, we did a Love Letters to 2020 workshop with her group over in Michigan. So that was a cool collaboration we were able to do. All right, welcome back. Okay, yeah, we're getting into the poets. Kelsey, you want to come back up? So poets, we have two to go. So if you all can read 2 to 3 pieces.
That would be great. Thank you. First up, we've got Sofia Fey. Thank you so much. Sofia Fey is a lesbian and non-binary writer living in LA. Currently, they are founder of the Luminaries Poetry Workshop and poetry editor at Hooligan Magazine. They love to beat their friends at Mario Party. They tweet at Sophia Creates. Thank you.
Hi, thank you all so much for having me. On the note of Luminaries Poetry Workshop, I did want to say, if you go to my Twitter, I'm teaching a how to submit workshop for free for queer writers on Monday. It'll be on Zoom, so if you want to join that, please do. And if you have any friends who are like, I have writing, but I don't know what to do with it, it's a good place to start. So I'm going to start with a flash fiction piece. It's really short. I was actually just talking to my friend Melissa about this earlier, but when I was a little tiny thing, and people would tell me how to be a lady, I'd be like, yeah. And then someone would be like, this is how to be a good man. I'd be like, I'm listening. So this piece is called Good. You want to be a good man, the kinds that open doors, physical and metaphorical, that worships on Sundays, a good man with a good hat, who tips it to his lady and says, good night, ma'am, with no more than a peck on the cheek, of course. You want to build her a kitchen island, to have tea on the porch, to be a good man, crack hazelnuts for her in December and bring home each day's daily bread. Bring her a colony of fish that you caught, You want to skin them, heat up the grill and throw them on, watch her pick the bones. You want her bones. You want her muscles to release, to power you like electricity. You want to build the walls to house her wire, to strip them just so, to see sparks from flight. And like a good man, you tiptoe out of the hallway, leaving the key she made for you on the counter. And like a good man, you hail a cab to the river and will never call her again. You're gone before sunrise. You wash your hands of her and dive into that river. Watch wind brush its fingers through tall grass. Lay back and let currents wash you over. Like a good man, everything is yours. Thank you. I've got two more pieces. They're both poems. This one is called Write a Poem About Wishes, and it was published at Lumiere Review. You don't have to wish on anything, actually. I like those shooting stars as much as the next guy, and 11/11 is a cool time. And when I blew out my birthday candles, I saw shining gold, saw my current smile spread all the way into my future like raspberry jam on some good bread with real butter, or if it's vegan, it's Miyoko's. And intention holds more weight than we think. Sorry if I'm falsely accusing you. If you know the weight of will, like I know when milk is 140 degrees, just with the tips of my fingers. And what consumes you is either wish or in the wish family, which again is wide and old as an encyclopedia's dream. Your late night yearning sends out a personal bat signal. And I've been the manifestor and the manifestee, seen even the wrong wish appear right in front of me, took her hand and kissed it. Thank you. So this is objectively the gayest thing I've ever written. This is called Letter from a Young Poet, and it has an epigraph. The epigraph is, do not write love poems. Avoid at first those forms that are too facile and commonplace. They are the most difficult, for it takes a great, fully matured power to give something of your own where good and even excellent traditions come to mind in quantity. Rainer Maria Rilke. Daddy Rilke, I've failed you. I'm a simp for the pussy, and when a girl gets me excited, there's no stopping the train. Even, but especially, when my head is on the tracks before it. Maybe you're intrigued now. Maybe that's where the poem is. My head is on the tracks, and I can't stop the train. In no cases, not even of emergency. Not when I pull down the chain. The chain is already around my neck. Forgive me, Daddy Rilke, for I have simped. Again, I lay my head on those tracks, and I say, rail me, young maiden. I've been waiting for someone like you to end me. I've wondered, though, when I'm satiated, when someone holds up the picture of their future and points to my face, says, I've been looking for you. Maybe that's where the love poems end and the life poems begin. You see, Daddy Rilke, everyone wants to be told they hit it right, but I want to be told there's no right after you. Thank you.
I'm like, can we have 10 more poems? Do you want to stay till 10 a.m.? No? Okay, just me. Thank you, Sofia. Soledad con carne, our last poet of the night, somewhere in all these pages. Guys, we put the show together. Sofia Fey is a lesbian and non-binary. No, sorry. Automatic read. We did that. I liked it. I want another, but next year. Thank you. Soledad con carne. He, they is a first generation Chicanx poet, student, and mixed media artist. Based in the heart of the valley, Soledad is known by the VF scene as the poet laureate of the San Fernando Valley. Their work explores themes like alcoholism, Chicanx identity, mental illness, and divine existence through a surreal and reluctantly optimistic perspective. Soledad just likes expressing himself through poetry, so catch them at an open mic or on the stage sometime. Thank you, Soledad.
Hi, Yeah, I'm soledad, whatever. First, quick thank you to LA Poet Society, Jessica, Rosie, Beyond Baroque, and especially Yvonne, he's the homie. All right. Okay. Alder. Saw me in half and count the rings at the center of my belly, an ailment from the generations before me. At the core, tracking every love-induced trauma, distinct in each ring, illusions of love cloaked in the guise of stability. Birthing children from men that nurse cervezas will nestled in the arms of faceless lovers and only come home to pay the rent or raise a belt. This curse ends with me. Wait, sorry, the mask is bothering me. So here's my gender poem. It's Pride. Happy Pride. Yeah. I went to SFE Pride today and it was super dope. Panorama City is my home and I love it there. Okay. Europeans said some shit about binaries. I'll never be a mother. I whisper in a room filled with anarchist chatter. I hold my ideas like the children I'll never have. Cause ideally, I'd have some little house on the prairie shit. Me, my lover, our tribe, our babies, our children, growing in love and stability, roaming through strawberry patches and cat farms. But I sold my womb out for freedom, a skewed version of freedom where I try to hide the beautiful parts of myself in exchange for a colonized sense of masculinity. Deprivation of heart, silencing of the soul, selling feelings as fallacies that say we're nothing and going nowhere, and life can't be celebrated with kisses and lavender. What is my masculinity apart from a brutish sensibility on pride and how I can outdrink every fool on the block? Where is my femininity when I'm drowning in loneliness and an inability to connect to some sense of we, like community, like I know what it is to love every definition of you as you love every definition of me, and what can be created out of a love that exudes what is sacred in magnolias and honeybees and sharing a smoke on the bleachers at the park at 3 a.m. I am the sorry, my hair. I am the mother, the giver, the lover. I am my father, the drinker, the runner. I am skewed in my own vision of compassion. I only birth what it is to question your own action. Anglo said, get rid of the magic in creation I was given, overpopulation and the quote unquote human condition. They say my kids will just add to statistics, but I'm the goddess, Coatlicue. I am the creator with my serpent head. I am the destroyer with my talon feet. I am all masc and femme energies. I am what it is to be of the earth. And this last poem, I'm a poet of place. You know, I'm from the San Fernando Valley, SFE poet laureate, all that junk. Here's my panorama poem, my valley poem. All right. The heart of the valley beats in panorama, cycling between third world and developed nation, rebirth consistent with the phoenix wing, insistent like a gaslighter. My valley, my first love, my nuanced heartache, the movie star now living in the gutter, the virgin on every street corner, graffiti exhibits in alleyways and overpasses, tent cities and white yogis posted in Sepulveda Park, new skaters and old homies take shifts in the tennis courts. Mi valle, mi sueño, mi tumba eterna. The stench of the recycle center warring with the taco and pupusa stands lining the sidewalks. Men of all ages calling to me from both sides of the streets, from when I was 12 to 23. Speaking through body language because Spanish feels like mush in my mouth. English feels like sticks and stones, cracking against my teeth, puncturing my throat, puncturing my words with a distinct syntax that only speaks to those stuck between borderlines, between genders, between timelines. And in the midst of time and space, who was I to think I'd live my life stuck in the place that is stuck in between success and death? Celebrity fantasy and the poor class reality. In a golden state of fallacy, my wants and dreams will surpass the corporeal. I'll ascend into what it means to be eternal. I've conquered self and doubt. I've conquered what it is to hate what comes into your mouth. Limerence blinds rationality. I almost abandoned what should have been the last straw. I inherited the valley after he left, while he was cast out. False prophet, self-proclaimed king of the scene, gone. The valley is mine. The valley as a universe, and it is mine. Thank you. That was loud.
All right, sol con carne one more time for all of our wonderful guests. Woo-hoo. Beautiful. Honestly, this was amazing. I love all the work, and I loved getting to know the different authors, writers through their the different work they shared. But now it's going to give us more of a chance to know them a little bit more one-on-one. So I want to ask my panelists, guests, back up to the stage and take a seat, and that would be Kelsey Bryan-Zwick, Jonathan Welch, Sol con Carne, and Sofia Fey. If y'all would join me, we're going to start our panel. And for the sake of time and also the integrity of our program, I'm going to ask you guys 2 questions. We have 3 mics, and I think they're all hot. We can, maybe if you want to just tap them, double check that they're all hot. Good. All right. Excellent. Hot as you. Yeah, y'all hot. Yeah. All right. Okay. I'll step back, I think. So my beautiful panel cards, all decorated. I gotta show this off. Decorated by my children, Sol and Luna. I said, make mama some rainbows. So they made they made rainbows for us, and I wrote my questions on the side. so some do it yourself type of panelist cards. You know what I'm saying? All right. So the first question, and so the way the panel is going to work, I would love it to be just a natural, organic conversation with y'all, and y'all just can share the mic. Whoever wants to go first. But if everyone can have a chance to answer, but feel free to comment on each other. It's a conversation. All right. So first, say nothing. We want to hear from you too. First, I'm gonna take this off. Sorry, I love y'all beyond their best. Okay. So the first question I want to ask y'all is oh man, it's hard to only say 2 questions. All right. Well, as an artist, okay. So if you think of your younger selves, whenever your art spark happened, who did you look up to and admire? Did you have any writers, or was there anyone who illuminated the path for you to help you on your artistic journey?
Sandra Cisneros.
Okay.
Do I have to expand on that?
If you want to give a little bit more, that's up to you.
Sorry, can I cuss?
You guys can take your mask off too.
This is the late night part of the show.
That's not children.
House on Mango Street's like a signed reading when you're in middle school, and I read it, and just her words are so beautiful, and just the way she wrote, and she is also a person of place, and that just inspired me to see the beauty in where I live and what I'm doing and where I'm from and stuff. There we go.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And it was in English and in Spanish.
Yeah,
and we're not reading many books like that growing up. I also loved it. And she has a beautiful book of poetry also. I don't know if you've read it.
Yeah, I got it. I bought it recently I went to San Francisco. I bought it there.
So good. She was one of my favorites too growing up. I want to say Eddie Izzard, because I didn't see a lot of cross dressers growing up, and that was really important to me to see on stage visibly. Is there anybody else?
I pretty much hated everything we read in English class, but I hated it so passionately that I knew it was going somewhere. Yeah. I read a lot. I actually used to sneak into my mom had a collection of classic books in the garage, and I used to sneak in and read them. I had no idea what they were saying, but I liked it still. I was reading The Grapes of Wrath in 3rd grade.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know why. But I did think it was fascinating. I was like, why are these men like this? And then I honestly don't remember anything really striking me any particular way until I read a short story called The Lady or the Tiger by Frank R. Stockton in English class. I actually just adapted it because I'm writing a collection of short stories right now called Adapt, that's queer adaptations. And it's the first one, but I remember being so pissed about the ending because the whole point of the short story is you don't know the ending. I remember being so mad that I thought about it for so long, and I thought about it every year until I finally was just like, wait a minute, we don't ever really know the ending of anything. And I was just like, and I was super inspired by it, and so now my fiction is inspired by that. Yeah, that's like my oldest short story I can think
The
of.
Invisible Man used to piss me off because Ralph Ellison never wrote a second book because he was being stalked by the CIA, but that's another story. Jonathan, do you have?
Yeah, no, I have a couple of thoughts on that. When I was a little kid, I knew I wanted to act and I wanted to perform, and I loved Jean Smart in designing women. And I remember a teacher telling me, you shouldn't say that because you're a boy, that you love designing women. And that definitely pushed me. But then, you know, other English teachers, because Sophia, I also hated almost everything that I read, but I had an English teacher when I was younger who said, I don't know if you've ever heard of Armistead Maupin and his books, the Tales of the City series, but that is, I feel like that's gonna resonate with you. And it did, and it was just these stories, these very personal stories of queer people coming to San Francisco and finding each other and creating family and creating a sense of home, which is something that I think that we always have to do, and we always have to constantly reinvent and recreate. So that really stuck with me. And I still love Jean Smart, okay? And fuck that, because she's excellent.
Yeah. Also Octavia Butler and Samuel R. Delaney, if you like.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And also, I wanted to ask, so now, I mean, you all represent modern queer literature, right? Whether it's poetry, fiction, nonfiction, but you're making a mark. How do you feel about the representation of queer writers? And also, just to piggyback on that, like, how do you feel also about like having that title, right? As like Jonathan, your story, you talked about someone who wanted to stay in the closet as opposed to someone who wanted to be true to themselves and be free and be who they are. So you all are queer writers and open, how do you feel also about wearing that not a label, but being known as a queer artist, like for the next generation, so basically, how do you feel about the representation of queer artists, queer writers, but also, how does that make you feel too, being a practitioner of writing, and being queer, and like that folks might look up to you, like, how do you feel about that?
I don't think there are enough. There just isn't enough representation. I mean, in art, period, now. You see, I think more about like TV writing and film writing and even like the news and journalism. I went to school to be a journalist, and you just don't see enough people in that realm of our lives who represent queer people. You don't see any non-binary anchor people. You don't see any trans anchors. There's just so much ground to cover, and we're not anywhere near there yet, and we're being pushed down as a community. And so, I just think there's just so much more to do.
Or Kelsey?
Yeah, I was gonna say, one of the things I learned recently, as May is Mental Health Awareness Month, but one of the biggest factors for young queer people growing up, one of the biggest impacts, positive impacts that can be had, is just to have one queer identifying or supportive adult in their lives. And like that one connection is literally a lifeline. And that's one of the things that sort of drove me to be more out. I'm disabled, and I deal with a lot of power structure issues where I need doctors whose opinions I do not know, nurses whose opinions I do not know, all sorts of medical staff. And so I've quieted myself as a person, I think, in a lot of ways, because I'm very aware of how that discrimination could play out. Spine issues, very delicate ecosystem here. But I also know that like quieting that voice isn't okay, you know, at the core of me as a writer, as a creative person, as a human who just like needs to exist. So those are some of the things that drove me to be in this literary tradition and out as a queer person, non-binary person. And I think like a lot of us feel that way, is like we didn't have the voices we necessarily wanted when we were growing up or needed when we were growing up. I think it was Maya Angelou who said, if there's a book out there that you haven't read that you need, write it. So I think a lot of us feel that drive.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. You want to see the changes, you be the change, right? I feel it. Sofia or Sol, you want to?
Yeah, okay. Well, obviously more queer representation is needed, but I guess like thinking about it specifically in terms of me, I actually didn't think about me being queer representation now, because it's just kind of like I just do this stuff. Like, because I come from a punk background, so it's like I never really came out. I just started looking however the fuck I wanted and then doing whatever I wanted. And then I was just like, oh, I'm actually gay. Oh, I don't identify as like a girl. Okay, let's roll with it. But I don't know. I lost sight of the question, but it's a complicated thing. It's a double-edged sword. Like I even wrote a poem about this, that like being out and like visibly out and like having people like see you and know that like you're not straight or you're not like cis het, whatever. It's complicated because it's just like I feel like there's a target, like people can like see you and like they treat you accordingly, and it's just like I'm either safe or I'm not, you know what I mean? And like so it's a double-edged thing. I mean, I hope that like the younger generation will see me and be like, damn, I could do that shit too. But,
Absolutely. I think so.
On a similar note to that, I also like I just have made it a part of my personality that like within 5 minutes I'll say something about being gay. Like I'll literally scream out the window I'm gay. Like I used to, I had a difficult relationship with it when I was little, because even before I was seeing anyone or like a sexual creature, people were saying I was a lesbian. And I was like, I don't know what I am, but I have a poem about this. It's on my website if you're interested. They would say I was lesbian because I like skateboarded in like comic books and wore boys' clothes. I was like, that's not why I'm a lesbian. That's why I'm cool. But I am a lesbian. And you know, which yes, also always yearning. I think when I see kids now, I just try to be open and loudly queer as much as I can, which I'm good. I'm the oldest of 5. I taught for preschool for a bit, so there's a lot of kids in my life, and I love kids. And I go out of my way to mentor as much as I can. I follow back every single queer person who follows me on Twitter. And I'm always, if anybody needs a queer uncle, you send them my way. But yeah, I think it's just so important to be loudly queer, because you know, coming from a place where I've had the sometimes benefit, sometimes not benefit of being obviously gay, is like, it's important to just own that. And this is an important month to talk about that. And this month I've been more sad about pride than I ever have before, because before I was like, yeah, I'm gay. And now I'm like, I'm gay. And this happened because we're celebrating this because of Stonewall. We're celebrating this because people died. And like, I just tweeted about this. I was like, I get to be this obvious lesbian that wears suits and has they, them pronouns because other people died for that. And so it's been just kind of like a heavy month to think about this, but I think it's also a good time to really extend what we can to other queer people and to other young queer people and to other queer writers, and just make extra time. I also don't really believe in straight people. I kind of don't. I think we're all gay, honestly. But that being said, it's a good time to be queer and loud about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I mentioned, like, I'm not supposed to be part of the panel, but I want to say, what you mentioned, Sophia, because I do teach teenagers. I teach high school. I taught them all year, taught them through pandemic, and I'm gonna teach them again next school year. But like I mentioned, I did start my school year. Like I think it was the second week. I'm like, the thing is I care about what a person feels. I care about what they think and how they want to identify, and I don't want to make assumptions. And especially, in my world, I'm very vocal about our, truth. Are you Latinx? Are you queer? Do you want to be called Black or African American? Do you, all that. So I wanted to know the gender pronouns to not offend my students, but also to show them that I care about who they are. And and I said that in the beginning of my like I said, the school year. When I must say that by me being who I am, and I told them, I'm like, I'm she, they. And I told them about the masculine and feminine energy. I'm like, we all have it. Honestly, that's what Omatel is. It's the balance. It's the energies. There's masculine and female energy in us. Yes. And everybody. And then, there's one that gets dominated more than the other. And then you choose, that's who you are. And so that's how I would explain it to my students. And I wanted to say that I think in starting in that light, by the end of the school year, and I didn't plan any of this, but I just want to tell you that, like, I had at least 2 or 3 students that came out to me. They came out to me, these young boys, and I'm like, I already knew. Like, I can tell. I know. I'm an old lady. These are little teenagers, and one of them was it was Women's Month, and I had cards of women trivia, right? And this little boy, he's so cute. His name's Luis, and his little new piercing now on his nose. But Louis, and he's a freshman. Anyways, Louis was like, "Oh, Miss," and he grabbed me. He's like, "Oh," he looking at all the names. I don't know who that is. And he had like 2 best girlfriends in class, and I'm like, I know here. Like, I ain't calling you out, but I know. And so anyways, and so we had like a little, quiz, and he's like, well, Miss, when are we gonna do these cards? And I was like, oh, that's for when, this time or that time. And at one point of class, on another given day, he mentioned like, oh, I think it was about, so it was Women's Month, and we were talking about different women icons, and it was like Beyonce, and it was Michelle Obama, or some other folks, right? And I always teach BIPOC, so I like to bring in like the spectrum, different, not just mainstream faces that everybody knows, but I like representing our diversity. And he's like, he got all the questions about the women's history, right? And he's like, and then at the end of class, he's like, oh, Miss, I love him. He's like, oh, of course I know about all the women. I know all the facts about all the big important women icons. He's like, I'm gay. I'm like, okay. But it's like, so I just wanted to share that, like, I love him. He's so awesome, and I hope I see him again next year. But him and some other like gals that came out to me, like I think they came out to me because they felt comfortable in my room and felt with me, and I proudly have the pride flag, I have the Black Lives Matter flag, like that's who I am, and I just wanted to say, like what you're saying, Sophia, about being loudly gay and voicing who you are, like being that beacon that I guess we didn't have when we were in school, right? To who, Audre Lorde, freaking amazing, right? Some of y'all mentioned Sappho and, all these amazing, queer writers. But when we were going to school, maybe it wasn't a time when the queer writers were mentioned as being queer or were not shared with us, you know. So, and even though you're punk rock, so reluctantly you are an awesome queer writer that the Panorama students will like definitely idolize and love.
Straight up,
And we have a pride club.
I keep forgetting to hit you up about talking to the Panorama kids. I'm down.
Yeah,
I wanna talk to them,
yeah, I teach Panorama High. Yeah, so I wanted to mention that, and you know, and but I was curious to see what artists you all might have admired when you were growing up. You know, that was that ray of amazing rainbow light that helped you. Anybody else want to touch base on that? Because the last question I have is a more little like fun question.
I just have one little thought. I have two good friends who are children's authors, and they've written books that have come out in the last few months that either address queer issues or like on a very children's book level. And they've talked to me both individually about the idea of queer joy or gay joy, and that like we never grew up with that.
Oh.
And that in our generation, I'm 39, so you know, you think about growing up in the 80s with the AIDS crisis and just, you know, the homophobia that existed and still exists on a pretty strong level. And you just think about how we were never given the opportunity as children to feel super joyful about our identities when it is a part of our identities. And the same people who would say to like Sofia, like, you're a lesbian when you're a kid, so are still the same people. I think some of those folks who don't connect that it's really identity versus, you know, something overtly sexual. And it's just such a hard thing to overcome. And it's wonderful to see like children's books that are out there that I needed about like a little gay boy who does a project about Betty White, you know, as a little kid, and so, and a little gay kid who finds a wig and discovers drag, and you know, like these are things that we need. And it's just so, you know, it brings a little tear to hear like a kid come out to you as a teacher, and it makes me very happy. And I think that we need to embrace that kind of joy.
Thank you. That was beautiful. I'm crying too. So, and a tongue-in-cheek kind of question, but really relevant. And Kelsey and I were talking about this, and I'm like, I'm gonna ask this question. So the last question is a little more playful. What's the deal with the body hair? What y'all feel about body hair? Preferences, but also the fact of like women or born women, you know, shave this, shave that, body hair this, body hair that. Like, what's the deal with body hair? What y'all feel about that?
Removal takes too much effort. It's like a crazy thing when it was introduced, shaving. It went from like 0% of female bodied people to like 90% across all like many cultures all at once. And I think it was like this thing of like the female body, especially because I feel like we're especially pressured to shave certain parts of ourselves. It sort of like divorces us from our animalism and like we are very like we bleed, a lot of us lactate, you know, like all this stuff. We are very animal. And so, and for me in particular, like not me in particular, but like what I noticed when I let my hair grow is I could feel when like a little mosquito landed on me and I could fucking shoo it away before, you know, and I have a lot of numbness because of my other stuff. So it was like to take something away that gave me sensory satisfaction. I think that was the biggest thing. And then like the armpit hair with the pheromones, like why are men allowed to have pheromone hair and like we're not allowed to have pheromone hair? And I mean, my family lived in Spain for few years, so we were allowed to be I was allowed to be topless and on the beaches and in swimming. And then I came back to the States and I had to like cover up the top half of me all the time, and my boobies don't get sunlight, which is so sad. So yeah, it's so interesting, like the things that are just culturally like in the status quo, they really actually don't make sense, I don't think, for our sensory satisfaction, our physical health.
It's all capitalist bullshit to sell razors. That's literally what it is.
That's the one.
Or Nair, which my mom used, and it's like, I can still smell it.
Yeah, it's a horrible smell. I know. I can smell it as soon as you said it. I'm like,
Ugh.
Especially
It's
with like the
hot
little
peroxide.
ones, you know, when like you're little and developing and they're like, oh, we can't have hair yet, but now, you know, it's just like, it's creepy.
Isn't it all about suppressing what's natural?
Yeah, I
What's
think so.
inherent?
yeah. Sophia?
I mean, I just think it's like so strange how people love to police bodies. Like, I'm like, why do you give a fuck if I shave or not? And like, if you do, then like go away. Like, I have no shortage of other people who want to be here. So, but also like, I've actually never had that be an issue. So, and I shave when I feel like it.
Nice. That's great. Yeah, honestly, yeah, with me, I'm like, it's painful. It comes back. It's like razor blades coming through my skin. I'm like, oh, like I'm with Kelsey. I'm like, I like it just soft. Yeah, less maintenance. Also, razors are pricey. Like it is capitalism. They're like, oh, people always want to shave, whether it's male or female. Like you're trying to get rid. Like we're gonna charge $20 from $2 for a razor to 25. You know, it's really become some kind of gimmick. I think they're just trying to milk people on. You know, and okay, all right. Any other comments about hair?
Your body, your choice.
Yes, right. And thank goodness, California, we still have our choices, right? It's still legal. Oh my God, I can't believe Roe versus Wade. Just real quick, and it was the same judge that said it was okay, right? Clarence Thomas, isn't he the one that like first said yes, and now he's
They all said
I
it
don't
under
get it.
oath. They all said under oath that they supported it as precedent, and they lied. I hope they all get tapeworms.
there we go. I'm with you. Yeah, that's pretty terrible. That's absolutely terrible. It's like what else are they gonna take away? They're gonna start stripping away rights.
That is a good.
I don't think it's a terrible. Like it's bad.
That's like he's mixed some
I
diarrhea
mean, among other
forever.
things,
How about
I
that?
hope that like they actually get to be responsible for the crappy shit they did.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad karma for me.
Tapeworm would help too. I think.
Yeah.
Tapeworms for every all the politicians and the one Brian too. Tapeworms for Brian.
For Brian, for sure. Like I think absolutely, and I just think like it's not bad karma for me to like.
We're just like, get you a little sick.
I know, but like
because we're not wicked like them. That's why we got love in our hearts.
Oh yeah, no, I just wanted to say it's not bad to wish digestive discomfort on anybody. That's all I wanted to get out.
All right, we love you. Thank you for participating in our panel.
Thank
you for being a part of our Queer Writers Festival. I appreciate you all, and you all are leading the way and giving definitely lots of rays of light and rainbows to our youth. So keep it up. Thank you so much for being here.
Likewise,
lots of love. All right, here's our panel guests: Sofia Fey, Kelsey Bryan-Zwick, Sol con Carne, and Jonathan Welch. All right, we're moments away from our drag show. And but before we jump into that, I want to acknowledge a few folks. I'm going to be presenting some award recognitions. I say recognition because 2 of the recipients are not present and 1 is. So we have 1 award to give out. So the first recipient, and all these folks are queer writers, because of course this is the Queer Writers Festival, so that's who we want to honor today at our event. So our first award that we want to give out is called the Legacy Award, and you might be familiar with the recipient. The recipient of our Legacy Award is presented to Tracy Akimi Kato Kiriyama. She is a queer writer. She is a lesbian writer and Japanese American. And we are giving this award to Tracy in recognition of her community building and resilience. In 1999, she founded the Tuesday Night Cafe over in downtown Los Angeles, and it is still going on. So right there in the heart of Los Angeles. We thank her for curating an eclectic and BIPOC show that served the heart of LA. Her generosity has lent itself to discover many fresh voices and give folks a chance to be visible. And again, that started in '99. So this, like her legacy program or the Tuesday Night Cafe has been going on for what, 23 years? And so every Tuesday in downtown, it goes on, I think at 7 o'clock. And I remember I first went to the Tuesday Night Cafe, I think it was in like 2017 or 2016. And it was, you know, she did, one of the things I admired about that program was it was outdoors and, you know, it was very BIPOC. Like there was a lot of Asian community, there was Latinx community, Black community, lots of different folks, Caucasian folks that were all there and sharing their work. And it was open mic, very, very organized. Like you had to register in advance and all that stuff. But nevertheless, you had visibility. You were there in the heart of downtown LA, and it still happens. And, you know, and Tracy is also a survivor of breast cancer and just incredible. And, you know, I invited her, but they were not able to be here today, but we are still going to present and send this award to her. And our next award, a very important work, is awarded to Andres Sanchez, also known as Andy Sanchez. And I don't know if Andy and Alex Platunia are here. I know that they're part of the Community Literature Initiative and the Sins Library Poetry. But I want to present Andy Sanchez with the Trans Writer Award. And Andy, I've had the pleasure of knowing Andy since about, I want to say 2015. And I've got to see them, you know, through their journey, through their trans journey, from before into the present. And I've seen Andy literally transform into a confident, you know, gentleman, and just very, very intentional and raw, like with their words. And I present this award to Andy Sanchez for in recognition of documenting of their trans journey through creative writing and transformation. We are grateful for their courage and strength in sharing their life with us, all of us as readers, and showing us that our dreams are possible at all costs to us. Be true to yourself and show us. They just published a book, I believe it came out at the end of last year, called This Body, published by World Stage Press. And this book literally documents their transformation. You know, it's all the anguish of the before and the during and then the after. So I definitely recommend that book. And I believe that book offers a lot of healing and connection for folks who are also on trans journeys, are trying to have the courage to come out and also go on that journey to being their authentic selves. So we want to recognize Andy Sanchez. And lastly, and this person is in the flesh, so woohoo! This last award that we're giving out tonight is called the Innovator Award. And that's presented to Rosie Alonso. And Rosie, this award is given to you by LA Poet Society in recognition of your creative work that includes the creative community. You began Acid Verse Literary Journal as a call to bring all creative communities together, giving them greater visibility and voice, and the queer community visibility and voice. And you've elevated so many and truly changed our lives, giving us a legacy to the LA Poet Society Press. So this is for you, our Innovator Award. We love you, we love you, love you. I wrote poems for Rosie. I have mad love for Rosie Alonso. It goes very, very deep there. But I'm glad I get to work with her and you know, be here doing what we love to do. So. All right. So that's all of my business. And now, y'all, it's time to get ready for our drag show. So get them dollar bills out. You know, our drag queens and drag kings like tips. And we like to give them some tips too. So we're going to clear the floor and we are going to get ready to meet Fox, who's pretty foxy, and Tim McGraw. So get those dollars ready. And thank you for being a part of the first Queer Writers Festival produced by the Los Angeles Poet Society. I want to again thank my amazing team, Kelsey Bryan-Zwick, Rosie Alonso, and Mauricio Moreno, and Yvonne Salinas with Beyond Broke for helping bring all this to you tonight, making this happen. I love y'all. Thank you so much for everything you do. All right. All right, let's do this. I'm gonna step back. Thank you guys.
All right, hi everyone. I go by Fox. I'm a drag king, but since this is a poetry event, I'm gonna read some poetry because I also do poetry, not typically in drag, so this is new for me. But this is just a poem. My real name is Theo, and this poem is called For Theo from Your Body. I asked you to cut me, to heal me. You took the blade and asked how deep. You brave and curious thing. Wagered all shallow love you'd ever known on the chance to meet me. Thank you for gambling. Thank you for risking, for listening, feeding my hope, watering my tears, holding me at night, claiming me as yours, making me you. Did a horse ever so love his rider they joined together as one dreamer? Defy definition and drown rulers' demands in sweet moans, making love to ourselves. And aren't we pretty together? Don't we deserve to love each other so loud? We might be a fox in a human skin, but boy, have we learned how to wear it.
Blame it all on my roots. I showed up in boots and ruined your black tie affair. The last one to know, the last one to show, I was the last one you thought you'd see there. And I saw the surprise and the fear in his eyes when I took his glass of champagne. I toasted you, said, honey, we may be through, but you'll never hear me complain. 'Cause I got friends in low places where the whiskey drowns and the beer chases my blues away. And I'll be okay. I'm not big on social graces, think I'll slip on down to the oasis. So I've got a friend in low places. I guess I was wrong, I just don't belong. But then I've been there before. Everything's alright, I'll just say goodnight and I'll show myself to the door. Hey, I didn't mean to cause a big scene, just give me an hour and then I'll be as high as that ivory tower that you're living on. 'Cause I got friends in low places where the whiskey drowns and the beer chases my blues away. And I'll be okay. Yeah, I'm not big on social graces, think I'll slip on down to the oasis. So I've got a friend in low places. I've got friends in low places where the whiskey drowns and the beer chases my blues away. And I'll be okay. Slip on down to the oasis. So I got a friend in low places. I got friends in low places where the whiskey drowns and the beer chases my blues away. And I'll be okay. I'm not big on social graces, think I'll slip on down to the oasis. So I got friends in low places. I got friends in low places where the whiskey drowns and the beer chases my blues away. Sing your songs full of sad serenade and gently play on your heartstrings. Be a Valentino, just for you. Ooh, love, lover boy, what to do tonight? Hey boy, set my alarm, turn on my charm. That's because I'm a good old-fashioned lover boy. Ooh, let me feel your heartbeat grow faster, faster. Can you feel my love heat? Come on and see to my heart, seat of love, and tell me how do you feel right after all? I'd like for you and I to go romantic. Say the word, your wish is my command. Ooh, love, lover boy, what to do tonight? Hey boy, write my letter, feel much better, and use my fancy patter on the telephone. When I'm not with you, think of you always, those long summer nights. When I'm not with you, think of me always. Love you, love you. Hey boy, where'd you get it from? Hey boy, where did you go? I learned my passion in the good old-fashioned school of lover boys. Dining at the Ritz, we'll meet at 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock. Pay the bill, you taste the wine. Driving back in style in my saloon will do quite nicely. Just take me back to yours, that will be fine. Come on and get it. Ooh, love. There it goes again. It's my good old-fashioned love boy. What you do tonight? Hey boy, everything's alright, just hold on tight. That's because I'm a good old-fashioned lover boy.
You keep on giving me the hold up.